Hello, I'm Kurt Lidke, Executive Director of Klamath Film, and you just watched Karaoke People, a film celebrating a uniquely social subculture in our Northern Shorts category for the Klamath Independent Film Festival. Joining us now is the director of this film, Jen Tate. Jen, thank you for taking some time out to join us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
This film is very fun, but it's also very personal. Clearly, this film addresses a topic that you care deeply about, and I know you delve into that in the course of the film. So I suppose I should ask first how you're coping in the age of COVID with a lot of karaoke bars shut down. Everyone is dealing with withdrawals of their kind of social setting and whatever people enjoy. Are you doing all right? Are you holding up with limited karaoke opportunities?
Well, thank you for asking that. Not everybody knows to ask that of me. It's been complicated. I found in the first few weeks a lot of online karaoke opportunities showed up. There Facebook karaoke, quarantine karaoke, all these different things. But for the most part, it meant recording yourself at home and submitting it to, for other people to watch, which doesn't have quite the same, social gratification that being in a karaoke bar does. So I did that a little bit, and then I eased off. I still pop in to check on how people are doing, and I did a couple of them where suddenly you just hit live and you're just live streaming and singing, and that also, it was fun, but you can't feel the love or the camaraderie or whatever it is. So I definitely have been struggling. So most recently, I joined a competitive karaoke team in Portland that is going to compete against teams from all over the West Coast, from LA to Vancouver. We don't quite know what the format's going to be yet, but at least it means there are 10 of us who all know each other a little bit, who are getting together regularly to do some singing. I can't ask for more than that right now.
That sounds kind of interesting. I have seen the air guitar world championships, but that was in person. So, maybe they can incorporate something kind of in a similar vein before.
Absolutely.
So, your film, one of the things that really stands out about Karaoke People is the animation work in the film. I thought it was really well done and it really adds to the story. So, who produced that for you?
So, an amazing animator named Jenny Kincaid, who lives here in Portland. She used to work at Leica. She's just incredible. And I'm a writer by trade originally, and so having the opportunity to bring her my story and write a long description of what I wanted, and then just email that to her, and then a week later to have her send back this creation. It was like magic to me every single time. She is completely brilliant.
Fantastic. So, your film is partly biographical in nature, and it talks about how karaoke in general and has changed your life and the culture behind it. But what inspired you to actually make a film about this?
Well, when I first started singing myself, I kept coming home with these stories about the people I would meet. And being a writer, I tried writing these stories down. And not surprisingly, karaoke is about being present and live in the space where it's happening. So it was not translating to the written page or written, the screen very well that way. And I have some background in film and media, and I just thought, okay, this could be a challenge. Like, what if we, bump it up? And I had to learn as I went. I made some mistakes. There's some things that I would do differently if I could go back. But overall, it was a combination of like this learning process of how can I take this thing that means so much to me and make it bigger than words on a page.
Mhm. Some of the personal stories that you acquired from the film from people who are regulars at karaoke bars are quite remarkable in how open people were and honest and really emotional about it. So, how do you go about filming those testimonials? And were you surprised with the stories that you got? Were any of them that didn't make the final cut that you thought were still really poignant? Because inevitably stuff always hits the cutting room floor, right? So.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I talked to 30 plus people in my karaoke booth over the course of the 2 years of production, and I would have loved to have kept everyone if I could. I was shooting for showing the range of what this phenomenon is for a range of people. And one of the things that one of the reasons that I built this booth the way that I did was to be able to set it up so I didn't need a crew or anyone else there. I wanted it to be a one-on-one conversation between, because I am a karaoke person also, and with these people I wanted to be able to really connect. So yeah, most of our my interviews went an hour and a half long or so. Like we really delved into people's lives, and people opened up incredibly to me. There were at least two people where I felt like I could have just made a film about that person, because his or her story was so rich and incredible, and karaoke played such a unique part of it for them. Um, there's a gentleman who's in the film just briefly. He's got a cowboy hat on, and I call him Bob the Cowboy. And he was maybe the initial karaoke person I met. And he had been his wife passed away 25 years ago, and his daughter brought him the week later to karaoke, and he went every Friday and Saturday night for 20 plus years after that, and sang all these old cowboy songs and Elvis and all these. And I kept seeing him there every time I would go. He would be there. And we have very different political views and approaches to life. And yet we sat side by side regularly and sang and clapped for each other. And he was an amazing inspiration.
Anyone who has gone to karaoke bars has karaoke stories. I enjoyed going to one when I lived in Hollywood. That's right on Sunset Boulevard because it's sandwiched right in between some of the major concert venues. And so if you went on the right nights, you'd get some pretty famous people who just got off stage and wanted some post-show drinks before their tour bus hits the road, and you'd catch some, oftentimes I'd be at the show and all of a sudden, I'm going to go get a drink, and here they come in stumbling in after the show, and they want to half drunk sing something because they realize most people there have no clue who they are after they just performed for like 2,000 people. So that was always fun to experience. But I also got the vibe that there's kind of subgenres of karaoke. Like there's the people who go on and they're trying so hard to be good, and then there's the people who just kind of don't care and they're just kind of doing it on a whim. And then there's the people who are like trying to make it as over the top ridiculous, either intentionally bad or funny as they can possibly be, right? So are there genres that I'm missing as far as approach to karaoke or the skill sets involved?
Well, I mean, you totally nailed it. I mean, it depends, of course, where you are on what particular night, and does it, you can sing with a live band, you can sing outside, you could. There are a lot of different approaches, and of course, people go for different reasons. Um, what I regularly found fascinating was when I would go out on a Tuesday night to a dive bar that is not even known for karaoke, but it has it. And the people who I would meet on those evenings, and the passion that they would bring to whatever they were doing. Like you said, some of them being over the top or whatever it was, but it was this like spiritual experience for so many of them, of like, I just have to go do this. And it became a joke in my household when I would have a bad day and my husband would say, do you need to go sing a song? And I'd be like, yeah, I need to go sing. Is it just one song? And it and it's not that for everybody. There's still always going to be
Mhm.
the drunken bachelorette parties and the whatever, which is great. It's kind of why it's a really interesting part of our society.
Do you find sometimes people too have like an odd flex where it's like I can take the most complex song that has like the biggest octave range in it or the most complicated lyrics to try to memorize? Like I'm a guitar player myself, and so it took me a really long time. But a couple of years ago, I memorized all the lyrics to REM's "It's the End of the World as We Know It" and "I Feel Fine." I've never actually done it for karaoke, but I've always thought like if I did go to a karaoke bar and pulled that one off, like it's like instant street cred for being able to spit that one out. Do you have like a standard go to where it's like, okay, this is expert
Right.
level karaoke now?
Well, I mean, I like to think I do, but before I go to that, like, why are we sitting here right now? Why are you not performing that song somewhere? You're crazy, like missing out on that opportunity. I can't wait to see that. Uh, I had a joke with the bartender and KJ at the place that I went to for years before making this film. And the rule was if I have a couple of drinks and I ask to sing cabaret again, don't let me. Like, just don't let me because I don't know, it represented my musical theater background and it was the first big, I just kept singing it. And some nights it would bring the house down because people are not really expecting musical theater. And I would go big and crazy and bold with it. But I mean, it really just, it was a therapy thing for me. I just got to do it one more time, one more, I don't know where that comes from. Everybody's got their issues.
Right, right. Well, that is cool that you can find a way to self-medicate without getting into some of the bad habits that come from self-medication. Unless singing on stage in of itself becomes a bad habit and addictive. I'm not sure. Um,
Well,
where
I'd
have
say
you?
single person in my confessional booth at some point used the phrase karaoke therapy. Like really,
Therapy?
for,
Yeah.
for karaoke people, there is something truly karaoke, truly therapeutic about it.
hmm Where have you shown this film prior to Klamath Independent Film Festival, and what kind of reactions have you received? Because like I said earlier, anyone who's gone to a karaoke bar has a karaoke story, right? An experience that was either funny or memorable that stands out, and I'm sure you get all sorts of weird, random stories from people as soon as they know that you're the one behind this film.
Oh, I mean, truly, you don't even have to have ever been to karaoke to like everyone I've ever talked to has a story. They have a friend who's really into it or that. So that's what was really surprising to me is most people actually did want to talk about it, even if they wanted to just make fun of it. But still. So I finished the film last fall, and I did a couple of sort of screenings at karaoke places around Portland. And because what I like to say is that my film pairs nicely with a cocktail and a song. You want to sing afterwards. So we would screen it there at the karaoke bar, and then people would sing, and that really worked well. And so I did that 4 or 5 bars around Portland, and then I got into the LA Women's Short Documentary Fest in LA, and did got to go to one festival in January, one in person, and I did a screening at a karaoke bar in Hollywood, which was really fun too. And in my mind, that is kind of where this film is meant to live. Is it's a built-in audience of people. The full film, if you watch all of it, is 18 minutes, but the short version that I have that I sort of share around it, it's a nice warm up to an evening of singing. So I encourage people once I make it available online somewhere, just use it to start your party out on a Friday night.
It definitely feels like a kind of maybe trendsetter isn't the right word, but it's like an appetizer, to kind of get the mood going. So I really appreciated that from your film when I saw it. But what do you hope that people get out of this film?
Well, as I said, the longer film includes a lot of more in depth interviews with each of the people who are in the booth, and that actually is all on my website. If you go to the
Mhm.
karaokemovie.com, and what you see there for anyone who might be interested in learning more about the stories that these people have to share is just the humanity that you see throughout is connected in just this really beautiful way. Like you see the spark in each of these people's eyes as they talk about it and what it's done for them. And sadly, uh, one of the people I interviewed, we lost along the way. He lost a battle with depression, and that that was that was a really difficult thing for all of us involved to deal with. And at the other side of it, when the film was completed, I was able to sort of dedicate part of it to him, and share it with his mom. It was a really, once again, a really big therapeutic part of my life, of her life, and I think potentially of other people's.
Okay, great. Any lessons learned from the production side in the course of making this film that you're applying to future projects?
Don't necessarily rely on using an iPad to film your film if you can help it, unless that's really like the look you're going for. That was a lesson. If I could go back and really trick out a rig that made everything look a lot better, that'd be great. I'm still bummed that I didn't figure out a way to incorporate a drone shot. I wanted a drone inside a karaoke bar, and I never quite made that happen. But that's next film.
Sure. Well, that would make for some interesting miking to take out the sound and still get good quality
So I wanted
recording.
to
So
hover over people as they were taking a drink and then reaching for the microphone, but next time.
uh, this film definitely takes a more lighthearted approach, and so I imagine in the course of filming and when you're getting all of these testimonials, there's some bloopers or some outtakes or some funny behind the scenes moments. So anything stand out to you in the course of making it that still sticks with you?
Well, several times we would have emotional moments in the booth, and I would no longer be able to stay where I was, and so I would jump out of my chair and run over and hug the person. So that happens a lot. I'm like, well, can't use this one again. Jen's crying again. And but that was also like beautiful moments where I was, connecting with these people who many of whom have become friends.
Hmm. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts about your film that you would like people to know?
Well, once we all get back out there again, I really do encourage people. Karaoke is not about singing. I know you think it is, but it's really not. It's about the joy of sharing music together. And I hope that anyone who sees my film and then maybe finds himself in a karaoke situation might be a little more inspired, whether they sing or not, to just take it in, like recognize the karaoke people, the people for whom it's bringing like a lot of joy.
Absolutely. Put yourself out there, get up on stage, give it a chance, and no one cares if you suck or not.
They really don't. They really don't.
Well, thank you, Jen, for making this very fun film. And in addition to being available online all weekend via Eventive, people can catch Karaoke People in person at the Ross Raglan Theater here in Klamath Falls, Oregon on Sunday, September 20th, around 4:30 p.m. in our Northern Shorts block for the 8th annual Klamath Independent Film Festival. So thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Take care, Kurt.